an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect, and I'm into this game, yeah, we'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Harry on the target. Right hand from my boy, double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all.
What do you say? Little game time decisions here on a Tuesday. Kevin Walsh with you live on SportsGrid. 2 hours to make it happen here on what we need to probably be honest about. One of the final times this show will begin with Major League Baseball. Dion and the boys take the field Thursday. What do you want? Weekend game time decisions. We had our fun. We loved it. We appreciate you showing up each and every Saturday and Sunday morning. College football today has you this weekend. Pro football today back on the docket, week 1. A lot of great games. Sunday Night Football, a postseason rematch, Rams-Lions. Can the Cowboys make it happen in Cleveland? Browns energy, not great. We'll get there. Get there. Baseball still wants to shine a little. We'll see. Like when the MLB playoffs are set, do they get the lead? We'll find out. We'll find out. On Thursday, we'll be a week away from Chiefs-Ravens. Listen, I'm part of the problem. I'm a little excited for the football. I won't lie to you. But I'm excited for today's baseball slate. 8 picks. I had to show up. And if this was a Dinger Tuesday, we'd have 6 guys on the board. We have 6 player props. We'll get there in time. Let's start with the biggest game on this slate. It's Guardians-Royals. The Guardians are booked as a minus 162 favorite. Total is a 9. But the Kansas City Royals yesterday in a doubleheader got the job done. Salvador Perez, who, by the way, Hall of Fame? I mean, listen, I don't get into a lot of those debates, but if he continues on this trajectory, probably he's going to get himself inside the top 10 hits, RBIs, home runs for catchers, all-time World Series winner. And, of course, with the Kansas City Royals, he's been a legend. Salvi Perez is a great defensive catcher as well. Just little Salvi love here on a Tuesday. Never hurt anybody. But how about a little Royals love in the market? They've jumped the Minnesota Twins as the second favorites to win the American League Central. Yet the prize for me was the price. We're minus 120 on the Guardians, plus 230 Kansas City. The Minnesota Twins are plus 270. No Chicago White Sox price. You've got a monstrous number there on the Detroit Tigers. I imagine the only reason they didn't hang the White Sox number, because if I were a book, I would want to hang it the whole way, just to see if anybody will waste $1.50 truly, which you should not do. You really shouldn't. But if they give you $1 million to 1, like, people will probably put the 1 down. Now, they are eliminated. They're 44 back of the Guardians. Remember these odds, though, as we go into the standings. Because the Royals, if they do win tonight, will have pulled even with Cleveland. These teams have 5 remaining games against one another. And you will see that the Royals are home for 3 of those games. I think somewhat of the Guardians' price tonight is factoring in the double loss yesterday. At home, not going to lose again. They've been a great home team. But minus 120 on the Guardians, when a loss tonight, I don't even know if they would be favorites tomorrow. I really don't. It's a fascinating spot. And it's a big part of the American League race that is going on because while we're locking in, rightfully so, on Cleveland KC, the Twins are right there, two back in the loss column of these Guardians, right? I am involved with this game tonight. I'm on Bobby Witt to record a run, minus 125, 113 runs on the season for Bobby Witt Jr., and he's got a great matchup tonight because every matchup for Bobby Witt is great. This guy's batting nearly 350 from both sides of the dish. I believe it's 350 against lefties, 346 against righties. He's got a righty going tonight. It doesn't matter. Bobby Witt's been unstoppable. You know I don't like to get involved in those 2.5 hit-run RBI markets too much, so I'm playing Bobby Witt for a run. He would be a Dinger Tuesday pick if they didn't take away the best promo in sports. What a shame that is. All right, let's go a little interleague play here. The Philadelphia Phillies look to match up with the Houston Astros here. Total 9. Phils are a favorite. Aaron Nola going up against Justin Verlander. Saw a tweet today. Man, sometimes you reminisce on old baseball, and that really is where baseball's at its best. 2007, I believe, last time Justin Verlander pitched in Philadelphia. Shane Victorino in the lineup. Woo! Maglio Ordonez. Now we're talking. 07 baseball feels like my prime. I wonder if in 15 years I'll look back favorably. And remember when Kyle Schwarber was batting leadoff. I will not look back favorably on anything inside this Astros lineup. Maybe Yordan Alvarez if I'm in a great mood. But that's just the way things are with the Astros. Couldn't find a great edge in this game here. Total 9. Didn't see an obvious bounce back or sell spot against either one of these pitchers. If you made me play it since it's such a big game, I would lean under on this 9 here with Nola and Verlander going, but it's going to be a great game, no doubt. I am involved in Minnesota-Atlanta. We've been talking about the Twins, and you see this minus 110 money line. Look, of course, shop around, try and get the best of your number. And I was able to get a little bit better number on Minnesota. I like their money line here, minus 106. Let's get a quick pick on the board. Simeon Woods-Richardson gets the ball in a matchup against Schwellenbach, and for me, I think that's advantage Minnesota. I think they have the better pitcher in this game. So why the number? If you think about this, yesterday Max Fried got the ball against Bailey Ober. I know Max Fried has struggled since coming back from injury, but in terms of pedigree, he's got it over Bailey Ober. That didn't stop the Twins from being minus 130 favorites at home, a game that they lost. Minnesota's now lost 2 in a row at home. You have to go back to middle May when the Yankees swept the Minnesota Twins to find 3 straight home losses for this team. So I do not anticipate a third one here, and I think we're getting a nice number. I know the Braves have been hot. I'm glad the Braves have been hot. As somebody who's bet them to win the National League and have found myself wondering if they're going to be in the playoffs due to the way that race is picked up with the Padres and the Diamondbacks. But I think that this is a spot here to sell Atlanta a little bit. Not as good on the road as they are at home, and the Twins have been a great home team throughout this season. We go minus 106. On the Twins. He's involved in this next one here. I mentioned the Padres on the road. Numbers up to minus 146. That's your most recent number we got for you here against the St. Louis Cardinals. I played this one just a little bit earlier in the day. I would still play it at minus 146, but I'm at minus 142. Dylan Cease and the Padres tonight make the card on that money line against St. Louis here. Miles Michaelis is in a sell spot, coming off of a really, really good start. And Dylan Cease, I think, is going to bounce back spot. We haven't seen Cease be his brilliant self in about 3-4 starts. He had that weird one in Pittsburgh where he threw an inning, weather delay. Did they set him up? Maybe. I wonder if it's thrown off the rhythms a little bit for San Diego's ace here. I like this spot at minus 142. I don't think we're paying too much. I really don't. Maybe I'm not valuing home road enough, but the Padres have been so good on the road. I was not scared off by this minus 142 price. So we're in the mix here on the San Diego Padres on the road against the St. Louis Cardinals. The Mets tonight are in Arizona, so this is another wild card team in Arizona right now who are trying to hold off a team like the New York Mets. This game jumped off the page because earlier it was supposed to be Eduardo Rodriguez getting the ball for the Diamondbacks, which meant Mark Vientos through the roof, Starling Marte through the roof. Let's get involved with some Frankie Lindor, a lefty who cannot get righties out. Big swap. Brandon Pfaadt gets the baseball, a righty who struggles against lefties. Mets don't line up as well. Backed off this game quite a bit. Did want to keep it in my back pocket, though. If we get another Eduardo Rodriguez start here in this series, potentially it'll jump off the page where the Mets bats are really, really going to line up. Let's get eyeballs quickly here on your National League wild card race. The Diamondbacks sit atop 4 games up on the rest. The San Diego Padres right now are clear of the Atlanta Braves. You've got the Mets here. I would feel like the only real true threats to the Atlanta Braves. Look, this is 6 games of separation between the Mets and the San Diego Padres there. The 5.5 number for the Giants on Atlanta doesn't feel like that's going to happen either. This is likely going to be a 4-team race here with the Mets trying to spoil the party. They have a chance to do it with Sean Manaea tonight against Brandon Pfaadt. It's the kind of game that they need. Let's quickly just mention a big-time matchup in L.A. Jack Flaherty gets the ball against Cole Irvin. Dodgers, Orioles. We'll break that down and the rest of the baseball slate next on SportsGrid.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Harry on the target for right hand from my Perry, double check. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, let's make it happen. We're live. It's SportsGrid. It's Game Time Decisions. And we are in the mix with you, man, on a Tuesday night. And as I said, it is a full baseball slate, and for me, a full baseball card. It's actually a little frustrating. I have 8 picks tonight, 6 player props. If you are still betting home runs, and you showed up here on a regular basis on Tuesdays looking for homers, you know, this is these are guys you can still take that I would be taking if I had Dinger Tuesday. Last Tuesday, which was the first time we lost the promo, I still played my guys, and I didn't get any of them home. Now, they would have done well on hit run RBI, but I didn't want to pay what was ultimately some expensive numbers. Today, we've had to do some dancing around because there are some superstars that really lined up for me here today, including both of the top 2 choices to win American League MVP. And maybe, let me see actually here. Is this, this other, oh, it's off the board. Rightfully so. Maybe we'll get to that in a minute because there is a chasing history tab. Aaron Judge is, by the way, minus 110 to break the American League record and hit 63 home runs. If anybody wants to know how that's going right now. Let's start with Aaron Judge. I'm on Aaron Judge tonight for an RBI. This was minus 115. Aaron Judge hit a home run tonight is going to be a super, super popular bet. It should be. I know many people who I respect, right? Tom Vecchio. He doesn't like to bet his home runs unless he's getting a certain number. And I don't blame him one bit. Especially if you're betting home run bets every single night, because you're sacrificing your win-loss record for unit. That's one of those where you have to be, really, really, you should always be tracking the units, but that's where it matters, right? They say you want to be able to hit at least above 55%, 60%, you're amazing. You're betting home run props at 4-1 or better every night. That changes what you need to do in order to be good in that market. Betting Aaron Judge, who I know on some books was plus 105 for a home run, is something many will hand wave. He is, at the moment, let me see if I can find the most up-to-date Aaron Judge home run number just to give people an idea where this is. Why is it locked on FanDuel? That's odd. Plus 145, right, which is a super, super short number. But for me, I'm willing to take that RBI because Patrick Corbin's going in this game. And it's kind of wild that Patrick Corbin is still getting reps at the major league level. His ERA has been above a 5 for now the 4th consecutive season, all in Washington. Like, the Nationals just won't. They're just kind of fine to let Corbin go out there on a regular basis. He's a good innings eater. At some point, this team's going to want to compete. We talked yesterday about Dylan Cruz coming up, James Woods, C.J. Abrams, and at some point, they're going to have to get rid of Patrick Corbin. But instead, they let him go out there, and he just cannot get righties out. 451 at-bats against. He allows a 322 batting average and 18 home runs. Aaron Judge this year is sneaky actually better against righties. He's still, of course, dominant against left. But I'm playing an RBI at minus 115 when the home run's going to cash it anyway. But if this goes Glaber, who's been great at getting on base in the first inning over the last 5-6 games, Glaber base knock, Soto walks. All right, well, now you're a Judge double away from cashing it. Again, he'll probably just hit a 3-run home run in that bat. I have no issue if anybody goes out there and just bets Aaron Judge home run first at bat, and that's just what they call it tonight. You probably got a good one on your hands. I mentioned in the open I'm on Bobby Witt Jr. tonight here for a run scored. Batting in the 2 spot there, I'd rather play Bobby for the run scored than the RBI. Gavin Williams with those reverse splits this season, struggling a little bit more against righties despite being a righty. And Bobby Witt's batting average is just spectacular either side. And he could very well hit a home run here. Bobby Witt Jr. Has actually been... Bobby Witt batting 350 is incredible. But the stunning thing about Bobby Witt, it's kind of the opposite of Judge, right? Is that this season, he's top 15 in home runs, and he's nearly top 5 in RBI. That's what's taken that Bobby Witt stuff completely up to another level. I mentioned I could be betting on the guy who would maybe be third. That's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, maybe Gunnar Henderson, Juan Soto, but Vladdy Jr.'s numbers this season are just absolutely fantastic. He is by far and away the best hitter on this Toronto Blue Jays team. And he bats .320 against either side he's going up against, and he's going up against a righty tonight in Cooper Criswell, a righty who struggles against right-handed bats. Big-time total tonight in Boston. That thing's almost approaching a 10 here. So I think Vladdy Jr. checks in tonight for an RBI. We have that at plus 125 for the people on the card. Or, excuse me, at plus 120 for that Vladdy Jr. RBI. I'm on Kerry Carpenter over the 1.5 hit run RBI. We are going to have a little bit of weather tonight in this game, it appears, so we'll see if it gets off the ground. Was supposed to be a 6:40 first pitch, but Kerry Carpenter this season, he's a lefty. 21 at-bats against lefties. He has 1 hit. Luckily, he's going against Johnny Cueto, who is a righty. Cueto only the 1 start for the LA Angels this season, and it's his only start at the major league level, but it was rough. He's 38. There's a reason that Johnny Cueto's not sticking around right now. So I'm willing to fade Cueto, who in that first, from what we've seen from him, was kind of, beaten up, really. And I just think that Kerry Carpenter at minus 135, who's been smashing right-handed pitching, was a nice enough number there to fade Cueto. And our two more player props here. One more star for you. That's Julio Rodriguez, who actually checks in tonight with that minus 125 number, going up against Jeffrey Springs, a lefty who just cannot get righties out. Look, you guys know I love a good reverse split. Sometimes it's true and it's obvious. This season, a 338 batting average allowed to opposing righties. Yikes. J-Rod's the best right-handed bat still in this lineup here for me. I know people will look Cal Raleigh's direction. His batting average is disgusting. I know there's pop. I don't care. I'm not getting involved with Cal Raleigh. You guys know I use batting average kind of as a starting point. The last one, Judge, Bobby Witt, Vladdy Jr., Julio Rodriguez, little drop-off Kerry Carpenter, and a big old bag of who? In Jonah Bride. Plus 160 for that RBI. Jonah Bride this season batting .284 against righties, playing at Coors Field here tonight, and goes up against Cal Quantrill, who struggled against right-handers, right-handed batters. At plus 160, batting fourth, Coors Field. It's a good spot here. Look at Jonah Bride on your card. We're locked and loaded. Tuesday night Major League Baseball board. We'll be right back.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fights. It was a big night of memorable moments.
Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Good left hand from Rockhold. Right hand right back from Mike Perry. Can I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man? It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Perry on the top. Right hand from Perry. Double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, we are live right here on SportsGrid, and it is a Tuesday night. We've gone through the baseball board. The WNBA tonight with just the one game, and that one belongs to the Vegas Aces and the Dallas Wings. I didn't find anything I necessarily loved in this one. A 9.5-point line there for Vegas. Big-time total, $181.5. I do wonder if you almost just say, forget the price and bet Aja over the number, because she is coming off of truly, for her, horrific game. Just the second time this season that she's gone out there and shot it at under 30% from the field. And the first time that happened was oddly against the Washington Mystics. And Aja followed that up with 28 points on 59% shooting against the Indiana Fever. Tonight's prop is 27.5, so you would be clear of that. But Aja's scoring, it is something we've talked a little bit about with Coach. And Coach talks a lot about the shooting issues that Vegas has had. And he wonders if those bounce back, will they be fine? The counter that I've offered, though, is even if the shooting gets somewhat better, if Aja Wilson's season goes from the best season we've ever seen to just the best player in the league, can this team handle that? And since the All-Star break, Aja Wilson has not been having the season that she was having before. She's still been absolutely wonderful. She scored 20-plus points in 4 of the 5 games. She's had 3 double-doubles. She's had 2-plus blocks in 3 of the 5 games. She's had multiple steals in 4 of the 5 games. I am not telling you that Aja has been bad. I just don't know if this underachieving Aces team can even present as a real threat without Aja being legendary. Because that's what and the season is going to end up as probably one of the best single seasons we've ever seen, right? For Aja Wilson. In totality. But if the level of play drops off to where, entering into this season, right? You said Aja's the best player in the world. Not many people would push back. But I think Breanna Stewart would be, you would have to put as a close second, right? If Aja created that level of separation, that comes back, man. I worry about this Aces team. And you guys know I love a buy low. This team is plus 310 to win a title. Think about the Vegas Aces numbers that we've seen in years past. The same women are out there. A team that sent 4 players to Team USA with Aja, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and Chelsea Gray. So, and there is some interest for me in their number. I won't play any WNBA title futures on top of the Fever one that I have. Still really wish I had that Lynx one until we get a bracket. And we'll make a decision from there. But it is something that I'm going to continuously bring up to people to monitor the Aja Wilson level and these Aces results, because post All-Star break, it's been atrocious. Depending on when you got the number against the Sparks, this team's 0-5 ATS since post break. They've lost 3 games outright, favored in all those games. They laid 16 or 16.5. Maybe you got a 15.5 against the Sparks. And they didn't come close to covering against the Sky. So, again, that's just kind of where things sit. Now, up next, we're going to talk to our guy, Mike Blewett. We mentioned the NFL season is right around the corner. There's a lot of good stuff for Mike and I to get involved with here. And I'm excited to talk, of all the kind of placements on the pup. I thought the Odell one today was eye-catching. And we'll get a little bit into where things are within that AFC East, the expectations, Rodgers year 2 with the Jets, Josh Allen with weaponry around him that leads to a whole lot of who, what, how. But there is also a market that appeared over on the FanDuel Sportsbook that is going to provide bettors the chance to bet on who is the best left tackle in football. Who's the best defensive tackle in football? Who is, and this will be up Mike Blewett's alley, the best kicker in football? Someone get Ben Scott Stevens on the hunt and find out who the best punter in football is. But for the first time that I can remember, there are odds to make the All-Pro team available, which is fascinating. We'll get to all of this next, right here on SportsGrid. Game time decisions. Come on. We'll be right back.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Harry on the target. Right hand from my daddy, double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this thing all the way to the top now.
Back with you live on SportsGrid. It's Game Time Decisions. Mike Blewett's in the mix with us. You will be catching Mike Blewett this NFL season, as he did last year, on In-Game Live. Mike, just let people know before we kind of get wrapped up in it, the time slot that you're rocking with and the setup on Sundays.
Excited. I'll be in Studio 34 in Manhattan. Joe Rainieri in our Florida studio, 1 p.m. Eastern to 4:30 p.m. Eastern, covering In-Game Live. Very heavily weighted slates earlier in the season, some 8, 9, and even 10 1 p.m. Eastern games. So fired up to bring it to you live. It's our own little type of red zone where we're covering the games live, and we'll do the whip around and cover as many live lines as we can. As you know, if from watching me in the past, I like to cover a lot of first half lines, second half lines, and In-Game Live is the perfect way to be able to deliver that to you.
And last year, Mike kind of took over that position with Joe Ranieri. They were doing the 4 o'clock window. Rave reviews, those guys crushed it. So they're in the saddle a little earlier this year, and those 1 o'clocks get loaded. So glad to see those guys are going to crush it. They're going to take over the handoff from Pro Football today.
Hey, you
so
get to throw it to me, buddy. You throw it right to me.
Can't wait. I mean, listen, people are, and Mike, no surprise here, not us. People are begging for a crossover. Yeah, but you've heard it, I'm sure. You've probably heard those rumblings quite a lot.
You want your guy to dip in for 6 minutes? I'm your guy. I'll give you 6 minutes of fury.
Someone's got to do it. Why not you? You mentioned Joe Ranieri down there in those South Beach studios. The Miami Dolphins today put Odell Beckham Jr. on the pup. And this was not something that was viewed as a certainty, right? Like when Nick Chubb hit or T.J. Hawkinson hit, big names, but people weren't caught off guard. Now, Odell is not a number 1 or number 2 or maybe even a number 3 option for the pass attack in Miami, but he's still a absolute superstar. So it catches the eye whenever anything Odell Beckham Jr. Related comes out. And I think there were people who were excited to see Odell in Miami with Mike McDaniel playing alongside Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. When you saw this Odell news, did you have any major takeaway on what this might mean for him in Miami?
I'm not terribly surprised. We know he had a procedure during the offseason, and Tom Pelissero reported from the NFL Network. He reported that he was working hard to get back. Miami just felt a little bit more comfortable easing him into game action, and he'll have to miss the first 4 games. That's not devastating to Odell's season or Miami's chances long term. Like you said, they have a lot of different options, and Tua has delivered the ball to a lot of different receivers and backs over the course of the last couple of seasons. Last year, a fantastic season for him. Odell's going to be 32 years old. We know factually that he's had at least 2 ACL procedures, the first of which didn't really go particularly well, and then he got famously injured in the Super Bowl. We saw yet another injury last season when he was with Baltimore. So I think these are building upon one another. He isn't the biggest receiver out there, which as you age ends up being a little bit of an advantage. It's just we have to admit now, Odell has a long history of injuries. His addition to this team is the type that they are hoping will put them over the top late in the year. And with them getting an opportunity to get some home games in the heat in Miami early on in the season, I don't think Odell is a crucial loss for them in any way. They have a lot of depth on this team.
Yeah, for Odell specifically, it's such a fascinating career. I mean, to say he took the league by storm is such an understatement. There are a lot of moments in sports, people be like, you'll remember where you were when this happened. I'm not sure that is more true for any moment than his catch against the Dallas Cowboys. You know where you were for Super Bowls and World Series, and honestly, for the last 5 years, it was at this desk on SportsGrid bringing it to you the way you needed to be brought to you. But I know exactly where I was when Odell caught that pass, and he continued to be out of this world for those first 3 years in New York. And there is some argument to be made that Odell kept Eli going. And then he went to Cleveland. It was a mess. And I still don't know how much was his fault and how much wasn't his fault, and all of that feels odd. But what is so bizarre and so unfortunate is that he was on track, Mike, to rip off a Super Bowl MVP, maybe, in that Rams-Bengals Super Bowl. Guys get hurt sometimes on the way to a Super Bowl. They get the ring. And look, not that everyone cares. At the end of the day, you're a champ, but people weigh how much it matters. For Odell to get injured in that game the way he did, but nobody would be foolish enough to suggest that they would have won that Super Bowl without him. Caught the opening touchdown. I know it wasn't a lot, but he helped set the tone, I felt, for that game, Mike. And I just think, I know I'm kind of, rehashing the Odell career, but I still maybe foolishly feel like there's some level of juice there. And I think depth at wide receiver helps because last year they dealt with a lot of Jalen Waddle injury. And I don't know if Tyree can continue to stay this healthy. So there could be moments where they rely on an Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, last year, 35 catches for 565 yards, 3 touchdowns. Not a ton. He started 6 games. He played in 14. It's safe to say that they were looking at other options. Mark Andrews had some injuries. Zay Flowers came on as a rookie. So I don't know that Odell ever really fit in there, despite the fact that Lamar was having a fantastic season. We'll see how well he can fit in as the season goes on here in Miami. I think you're right to say that Odell really did explode on the scene at a time, really, 2014, and I was on air back then talking about these types of things and how spectacular Odell was, but we were not yet at a point in 2014 where rookie wide receivers went off like that. That 2014 class exploded onto the scene, and he led the way. And it led to, over the last 10 years, I'm not saying Odell is exclusively responsible for this, but I think it made general managers realize that some GMs don't feel the need to re-up a lot of wide receivers, and they will go back into the draft in order to manage the salary cap because there are so many polished young wide receivers coming out of intricate collegiate systems that allow them to put up numbers in their first year. They're not all winners, we know that, but there are certainly guys that come onto the scene and immediately produce. Zay Flowers was an example of that last year, and we certainly see it every year now. It's why we're seeing 5 to 6 wide receivers go in the first round every season.
One final point on Odell, and again, I'm not pretending that Odell's like still some top-level receiver. He did finish 8th in the league in yards per catch, though.
Yeah,
so it adds something. But I am going to take this in a different route that I didn't expect to, and then we'll kind of circle back AFC East. Marvin Harrison Jr., Mike. Do you feel like those expectations are too high? Because, my gosh, are they high for what he's supposed to do year one in Arizona?
Yeah, it's a lot to put on any young player that is on a team where we're not sure exactly how this team will fare, even within their own division. I don't love expecting people to blow you away because you end up feeling disappointed, but I have very high expectations on his career for Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's a very polished player. I think he's the most talented player in the draft. We all know why he didn't go number one, but I think he's the most talented and highest graded player for many people in this draft for a reason. And I expect that Kyler Murray and he will work well together. So I think he'll meet a lot of high expectations.
Yeah, I just, it's one of those things, his season-long number is 1050 and a half. And I know the quarterbacks, aren't the same, but Malik Neighbors checks in at a number at 900 and a half. And it's not a monstrous gap, but being willing to put a rookie's number at over 1,000, it's a lot. It really is. And it's one of these, doesn't scare you off, though, does it? The way these guys come into the league and just take over. It would almost feel like a disappointment if we didn't say Marvin's one of the 5 best wide receivers by the time the year was over. Fourth Mike Blue attack.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Harry on the target for right hand from my boy, double champion. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Back with you right here on SportsGrid. It is game time decisions. We're joined by Mike Blewett. We've got the Major League Baseball board, though, shipping off some of their earlier games right now. We've mentioned where we are involved, but if you need a little reset here, some of the earlier action, Bobby Witt for a run scored, -125. Aaron Judge for an RBI at -115. And then there's a Kerry Carpenter bet out there, -135 for over 1.5 hit run RBI, or -125, excuse me. That game's delayed, so you could probably still get in on some Kerry Carpenter action there, looking to fade Johnny Cueto just a little bit. We're joined by Mike Blewett. We've talked a little Odell Beckham Jr. Ends up on the pup. Mike, you mentioned, though, you feel Miami is still plenty deep. And the AFC East, you look at these odds, man, +160. The Jets have become the favorites. And I guess that has to be camp hype, right? Josh Allen isn't injured. Right? This isn't because of the Odell news, but we've heard nothing but good things about the Rodgers-Garrett Wilson connection. Heard that a year ago. So just the fact that the Jets are booked as favorites, where do you come in on that?
I think it's obviously going to be jarring for anybody that's been watching the NFL for the last decade and a half. The Jets haven't made the playoffs since 2009, so why would they be favored to win the division? But we're only left to be able to analyze what happened during the off seasons and what leads up to them. I think there's real concern about as many numbers as Miami can put up during the regular season. Can they withstand the physical nature of the NFL season for the entirety of it? Are they deep enough to do that? I talked about their depth really at the receiver and back targets for Tua, but are they deep enough on the lines defensively to be able to withstand the entire season? The Bills, just on paper, Kev, look a little worse than they did a year ago. They lost some key players, some team leaders in Buffalo. And I'm not talking about Diggs. I'm talking about guys like Jordan Poyer and keeping that defense together. Matt Milano now on the IR and done for the year. So on paper, Buffalo in some ways mirrors the Cowboys from the last couple of seasons. Like, yeah, they're still talented, but are they improving year over year? The Jets addressed their major issue on offensive line. Quarterback was already addressed. They just caught a bad break last year. So on paper, it doesn't surprise me to think that people are gearing towards the Jets, that the beginning of the schedule is favorable to them and they can get off to a good start and hang on to that lead. I'm more bullish about the Jets to potentially be a real threat in the playoffs than them a 13-win season, for example.
Yeah, I think my issue with the Jets, and I'm, we're you guys know how I am. We go through the process, and same way I like to wait for my lineups. We'll get there at the very end. I can't tell you definitively where I'm going to land on the AFC East. But I'd be very surprised if I came on here and told you that I love the Jets in the AFC East market. If you are betting the Jets, you have to be pushing further. You have to be. Because the idea is Rodgers is in the playoffs, right? You're not looking to have the Jets be 12-2, and that's when Rodgers gets hurt, but you've created enough of a lead, right? This is still a very competitive division. So, plus 160, Rodgers stays healthy and connects, and Buffalo takes a step back. I'd rather, plus 850 conference, I'd much rather play Super Bowl bets than if you are willing to get there on the Jets. And one of the things that's hard about getting there with the Jets is the Rodgers health. Sometimes we assign injury concerns to guys that are a little overestimated, right?
Yeah.
Like Matthew Stafford was like a big injury guy. Then you were like, well, he wins a Super Bowl. Then we forgot about it. Then he got injured. Everyone was like, Stafford will never be healthy. Then they make the playoffs. Everyone's backing on Stafford, right?
McCaffrey has some of those same things. You're like, I just don't know if McCaffrey's going to hold up again. It's like, all right, well, he's the best player in football now for 4 months.
But now, also, no one ever thinks McCaffrey's going to get hurt again, right? Like, that's now the new idea on a McCaffrey. Rodgers is specifically different because of his age. When someone that old has an injury like that, when I say that old, I mean in athlete years, it sticks, right? And if that guy ends up getting injured again, it'll be hard to be like, I made the right bet because it has to be a part of your handicap. Mike, there are I heard you mention the Dallas Cowboys. If you bet the Cowboys and they go out there and they win 14 football games and then underwhelm in the playoffs, guess what? You signed up for it. That's what they've been doing now for quite some time, Mike.
Sure. Same old Cowboys. And with the Jets, it's totally fair to have concerns about Rodgers. This is not you trying to predict that someone is going to get hurt because we don't really have the ability to do that. It's okay to have concerns about players like Rodgers, like Joe Burrow, for example, that are dealing with current injuries. And we're not really sure until we see them in the line of fire how they'll be able to hold up. Because Burrow's wrist injury, something that can recur the next time he gets sacked. Is Aaron Rodgers not really going to be nimble in the pocket, which is one of his elite abilities, just his ability to slip inside and out the pocket. I'm not talking about running for first downs. I'm talking about his pocket awareness and avoiding sacks. Can he do that to the same level he's done in the past? It's a fair concern.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. Mike, we come back, we're going to probably do some award stuff. Just quickly, with Buffalo, do you think that we're too concerned about that wide receiver room or not concerned enough?
I would say not concerned enough. You assuage some of your fears in that they have two young players in James Cook and Dalton Kincaid that I think one of them proved himself, one who started to prove himself last year. I think that will be a little bit of balm on the burn that the Bills fans felt by the Stephon Diggs relationship blowing up and then Gabe Davis taking off to go to greener pastures for him, potentially.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where Mahomes last year still had Kelsey, and we were like, wow, how could he possibly win with this core? Not have a lot at all. It's a very interesting spot. We're back with Mike Blewett next.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fight. It was a big night of memorable moments.
Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Good left hand from Rockhold. Right hand right back from Mike Perry. Now 3-0 in BKFC.
Could I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah, folks. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Perry on the target for the left hand. Right hand from Mike Perry. Double jab and right hand. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining on number one.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, back with you right here, Game Time Decisions. I mentioned some kickers. I mentioned some all-pro. Now, there's a disclaimer that comes with this segment. Earlier this morning, around 8:30-ish in the morning, I was alerted that the FanDuel Sportsbook had popped up odds to make all-pro team, which is brand new to me. Certainly that I've seen from a FanDuel Sportsbook right here in New Jersey. And I was excited when I saw that because now all of a sudden you have different avenues to bet these awards, right? And a wise man told me many years ago, eventually you'll stop caring so much about these. That wise man is Mike Blewett, and when I watch these things get handed out, he's probably correct because I get very frustrated very quickly when these things go the wrong direction. Like last year's NFL MVP going to Lamar Jackson. But all of a sudden we bring some all-pros in, and look, ultimately you expect whoever wins league MVP, assuming it's a quarterback, will make all-pro. But, Mike, we have odds for all-pro left tackle. Trent Williams, the favorite, rightfully so. We have odds for all-pro kicker. Now, they've since gone. I don't know if somebody accidentally clicked the on button, but, man, I got to tell you, there's some juice there if these markets do reappear. And I believe we have them at least saved in the bank here to kind of show people what those markets look like a little bit. Because I would be interested, Mike, in betting some all-pros if we had it.
I implore them, bring back the all-pro market. I do not care who wins the awards, Kev. The process is whatever process anybody feels like that's sitting in a chair that's voting for it. So I don't care about it anymore. However, I will bet the hell out of markets that we can get an edge on it, and we often can, especially if you're tracking it throughout the year. And you want to bring some all-pro markets and some kicker markets in, I'm your guy. Let's fire it up. How can I get odds on Evan McPherson to be the all-pro kicker? I don't know. I just tell me what they are. I'd love to peruse it and get there. But there you go. Brandon Aubrey right at the top. Justin Tucker, Evan McPherson. So clearly those top two. Aubrey was on fire last year. He started even in preseason hitting bombs. Justin Tucker has had one of the greatest, if not the greatest, kicking career in the history of the NFL. McPherson, it's a running joke because I've often I've gotten on heaters with Evan McPherson because it's been proven that regardless of what a lot of analytics decisions will lead you down a path of, Zach Taylor really trusts Evan McPherson. He's not afraid to use him in key situations. So he's a guy that puts up a lot of attempts generally year over year, as the Cowboys did with Brandon Aubrey, 38 field goal attempts. Jason Myers from the Seahawks, 42 field goal attempts last year. But those top three are the guys. I don't think the Bucs will put up that many points to make Chase McLaughlin a real chance, and Jake Elliott with the Eagles a possibility if they continue to put up points in the way that they do. But McPherson would be my guy, just off the lead for Brandon Aubrey.
I legitimately opened this market and immediately raced to find Will Reichard, Alabama kicker, who was drafted by Minnesota. He's at 100-1, Mike. And it was one of those things like, look, I don't know if I'm really going to get involved in that capacity, but I feel like I owe it to myself and the people that week one we're firing on some Will Reichard props. What if he's the next guy? I mean, we got to get in early then, Mike.
I'm not afraid of a best bet being a kicker field goal attempts over. I'm just not afraid of it, folks. I'm here to tell you,
Mike,
when you tune in at 1 o'clock on September 9th, is that the right day? September 8th, I will be there with a kicking over for you.
Listen, one other thing Mike Blue is not scared of is to give you a sell me something where he might actively be trying not to sell you one, and then ends it with a strong and accurate "you're welcome," and it's not misleading.
I flip it in the last 10 seconds. I flip it on you in the last 10 seconds, and you hammered bet. That's the way it goes.
We will always have the Marcus Mariota interception. Shout out Marcus Mariota. Shout out Desmond Ridder. Cut. Man, tough scene for the Falcons. Boy, did they waste a lot of time last year. Mike, what a pleasure. I'm sure we'll be able to talk one more time before that NFL season gets underway. Enjoy some baseball tonight while we still all do.
Yeah, buddy. See you later.
All right, we've got Joe Madden up next right here in SportsGrid Game Time Decisions.
Could I get a face-off with Conor
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Harry on the target for the left hand from my very double champion. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
We're live on SportsGrid. It is a Tuesday night. We have Major League Baseball to get to, and to help us do that, it is Joe Madden. Joe, how are you feeling on a Tuesday?
Of the first between the Houston Astros and the Phillies, because I was riding the Nerfy in this one, and it looks like we just went into the top of the second. So that's a sigh of relief. Still got other bets in this game, but it's nice to start off the show with a winner there.
Joe, did you have any bets in Nationals-Yankees? Obviously a big series between a great team, and then the Washington Nationals are in it as well.
Yeah, Patrick Corbin going here for the Washington Nationals. Not a lot of faith I have in them today, which I'm sorry to say for all the National fans out there, but I did take the Yankees on the run line, being able to just start clicking offensively in this game. Now still 0-0 at the top of the second, but I'm not worried. I think if you want to jump in on it, on the Yankees laying the 1.5, it's coming in at -130. I do think this total is getting too low though, Kevin. We got a 7.5 now. We know both of these teams could get the runs on the board. I'm not counting out the Washington Nationals for their share of the runs either. And I do think the Yankees will get the majority of the runs. I'm expecting at least 5-6 runs out of them. So the over 7.5 is coming in at -110. I think it's a solid way to go.
Yeah, it's just, it's nice to see that even the Nationals propaganda that oddly gets spread on this show stops when the New York Yankees come to town. Let's talk about some games that have not started just yet, Joe. At 7:10, we have the Toronto Blue Jays once again in Boston against the Red Sox. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to something that I've been doing in the last couple of games here for the Toronto Blue Jays and just looking at their team total. Kevin, this team is finally clicking offensively, and I'm going to keep riding it until they let me down out there. Their team total is coming in at 4.5 at -115 to the over. And with Chris Well coming out here for the Boston Red Sox, I do think they're going to be able to hit off of him. This team has been really clicking in 7 of their last 8 games, able to go over this 4.5, and it's a short price here at -115. Now, I do think Toronto could get the win here. Rodriguez is coming out for them, but I don't know. Something about it just tells me this is a high-scoring one coming down right to that 9th inning, and I could see the Red Sox pulling it off here at home. So I think it's a higher-scoring one. We got a total of 10. I'm just going to ride the Toronto Blue Jays team total to the over.
Yeah, I like Vladdy Jr. in this game as well. Looking to fade Criswell. Played Vladdy Jr. for an RBI +120. He has been sensational. It's one of those things when if it's going under the radar for people, you get it, because the Blue Jays are not really in the mix. They sold off, but Vladdy Jr. has had a superstar-style season, and I think he can certainly flash that tonight at Fenway Park. Joe, what about Minnesota and Atlanta here? We've got Simeon Woods Richardson getting the baseball here. for the Twins against an Atlanta Braves team that's really starting to put now some consistency together. We know the Mets are still hot on their tail. The Braves have been doing a nice job putting wins in the right column.
Yeah, I think you look at the Atlanta Braves here. I really do think this team can come out strong enough to get the win over the Minnesota Twins. The Twins just don't instill a lot of faith for me offensively. And we look at the Atlanta Braves and how they've been clicking, and I do think they will get the runs on this board here on Woods Richardson. We look at Schwellenbach coming out here. He's got a 3.94 ERA, a 1.03 whip through his 14 starts, and he, in his last 5, have held those runs down to less than 3. So I do think this is a nice way to look here at the Atlanta Braves. We got a short price, basically a pick 'em price out there. I do think it's a lower scoring one, though. I'm expecting this one to stay under that total of 8. Now, I don't love playing unders when it's sitting at a solid 8. I wish they were giving us an 8.5, but still, even with the Braves' abilities offensively, I think we still go under that number of 8, Kevin.
Yeah, let's see now. For me, by the way, on this game, I'm on Minnesota. Checking into this one, minus 106 money line. I do like Woods Richardson here tonight. Maybe Schwellenbach has it a little bit going, but I thought this was a good enough spot to get involved. Joe, let's keep flying through this board here. St. Louis tonight, a home dog against Dylan Cease and the San Diego Padres. Miles Michaelis is going to go for the Cardinals here in a bit of a tough spot as they try to get back up to 500.
Yeah, a very tough spot here for the Cardinals. And we look at them in the NL Central, and they're 10 games back. They're sitting 6 out of a wild card spot, Kevin. And I just think this team, they haven't given up, but I feel like they're at that point where they're ready to give up on their season. It's not pretty out there. And Michael's coming out here. I do think he's going to have those struggles. That ERA is over 5. He's 1-5 with an ERA close to 6 in his last 6 out here. So I'm not trusting him to be able to get things done. When we look at Dylan Cease in his last game out versus the Mets had 106 pitch count. I'm very cautious on his outs today. I'm not going to be touching them. I was looking to look at his outs to the over, but after coming off that 106 versus the Mets, the last time we saw him go huge in a game was the game versus the Washington Nationals where he threw that no-hitter. And then in the next one, he came out and showed those struggles. I think we might see some struggles out of him going late into this one, so I think they'll have a short leash on him. I would look at Dylan Cease under 17.5 outs before I looked at him to go over the 17.5 outs. But looking at Miles Michaelis here, I'm going to take his number to the under 17.5 outs for him, coming in at minus 105. I do think he'll have those struggles out there. You look at his last 3 starts, 15.7 innings pitched, and he's got an ERA, like he's given up 10 earned runs in that time, 2 home runs. And you look at the Padres and how strong their bats have been. You also look at how disciplined this team is at the plate. They don't strike out. They're only striking out at a rate of like 17.7%. So I think the Padres are absolutely the right way. You got to find some value. Now, if you want to lay that money line, play the price at minus 140. I don't blame you, but I think the run line in the first 5, it's coming in laying the half a run at minus 110. I would look at the whole game, too. If you have enough confidence in them to win the first 5, looking at the run line for the full game, laying 1.5, right around that plus 122 mark. They have a stronger bullpen here than the Cards as well. Like I said, I really think the Cardinals are checked out. I think this is going to be a tough game here. And I do think Dylan Cease shows up, but just probably won't go long enough into this game. I think he still can get those strikeouts. I'm just not loving him to go too deep, Kevin.
All right, let's get one more in here, Joe, before we hit the break. Joe's going to stick around. We're going to go through some more of this baseball board. But we've got the San Francisco Giants. This is an odd one for me. I thought this was a tricky game. Tobias Myers has the ball. Has been really good for Milwaukee. It feels like maybe a short number on Myers and the Brewers at home against the San Francisco Giants team. But Logan Webb still clearly commands a lot of respect in the market. He's been lights out in the month of August. And really, you go back to the last start he had in July. It was a complete game shutout of the Oakland Athletics. So it's really now been 5 starts of brilliance from Logan Webb. A lot of respect here for him, Joe. What do you like in this game?
I have respect for both of these pitchers coming out here. We look at Tobias Myers, and I do think he's going to be able to really lock down the Giants. And when we look at Logan Webb, like you said, the book's giving him lots of respect, and rightly so. I do think he's going to come out strong enough to lock down the Brewers. looking at this, I think we have a pitching duel. This is a game where I'd look at the Nerfy. Now, I thought there was a bit too much juice on that Nerfy, so I didn't touch it in this one. We have strong bullpens on both sides. I have the faith in these bullpens to keep this number under the 7.5. And I know 7.5 is a low number. We're getting minus 105 to the under, but I do think in this case, this is going to be a 3-2 style game. Now, I wanted to bet the Brewers, but like you said, I feel almost, Kevin, you didn't say this, but I feel like this line's kind of fishy. We're getting such a good price on the Brewers there, like you said. I think it's Giants who get the win in a 3-2 style here. I think Logan Webb's going to come out stronger than Myers. So best bet under 7.5, but I can see the Giants pulling it off.
Yeah, I think you make a fair point, right? That maybe it's trappy or tricky when you look at how good Logan Webb has been. Maybe there's some value on him. In the same way we talk a lot when betting baseball, home road splits. We don't talk home road records, but it's been a great home team in Milwaukee. We'll get into this more. Joe Madden's with us live on SportsGrid.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Harry on the target for the left-hander. Right hand from my Perry, double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, quick scoring updates on the baseball board. 2-0 for the Pirates against the Cubs. We still have not started that game in Detroit against the LA Angels. Royals are up 2-0 on the Guardians. And the Nats strike first against the New York Yankees. Dylan Cruz with his first hit. Shout out to the Nationals who batted Dylan Cruz second in his first career game where he did not get a hit because he has struggled against lefties. And then they dropped him in their second game. In his second game to 7th. Some are asking, do I know more than the Nats manager? It's out there. Questions are out there. I didn't ask it, but people are asking it, and they're asking it in droves. Let's ask Joe Madden what she likes a little bit later on in this baseball slate here. Joe, 9:40, Arizona, Miami. The Mets could use it. Do they get it?
The Mets absolutely could use this win here, but we look at Arizona and how strong this team has been offensively. And Kevin, I'm just going to keep this one simple and I'm going to look at the runs. I really do think both of these teams can put the runs on the board. I was actually shocked we were getting a total of 8.5 to the over at -115. I think Manea and Rodriguez, both of them have, decent ERAs out there, but Rodriguez has had limited starts. So I do think when we look at the New York Mets, they're going to be able to hit off of him. And we know, while the Mets bullpen in some games are strong, we've seen them give away a lot of games this season. And I do think with Arizona's bats, they're going to be able to capitalize off of that. So I'm going to take the over 8.5. I do expect this to be a 5-4 style game. And I'm leaning just slightly to the New York Mets to be able to pull it off here, Kevin.
Yeah, I was actually really excited to be involved in this game with Eduardo Rodriguez being a clear fade against this Mets lineup who can really take advantage of lefties. Instead, Brandon Pfaadt's going to go today. It's going to be Eduardo Rodriguez getting the baseball tomorrow. There's something you guys can kind of circle up. I'm not here with you on the Wednesdays, but at least from my perspective, Vientos, Starling, Marte jumped off the page there on that matchup against Eduardo Rodriguez, likely for tomorrow. Joe, what about the LA Dodgers? They're going up against the Baltimore Orioles. I probably haven't talked about this game enough here. Cole Irvin gets the baseball, struggled this year against righties. Dodgers are going to be looking to take advantage here at home. Are you involved in this game tonight?
Yeah, I absolutely am. Now, I think it's going to be a harder game than the books expect. We've got a $2 favorite here for the LA Dodgers, and I do think this is a competitive one with the Baltimore Orioles. Flaherty coming out here for the Dodgers. I expect these teams to go back and forth, and I do think this would be a nice live betting opportunity once the Dodgers go down and the Baltimore Orioles go up if we get a situation like that. Currently going into this game, I did lay the 1.5 with the Dodgers and pay the juice on that run line because I do think they can get the win. I think it's going to be a stressful one, but I am looking here for them to be able to do so. I will be live betting it though, Kevin, as well. I do think the Baltimore Orioles have the ability to get up quick in this game and then the Dodgers to be able to come back. Now I'm going to look at Ohtani for that RBI. His RBI is coming in at +140, and I do think he will be able to get it here on Irvin. You look at Irvin, and his ERA is a 4.82. I just think Ohtani is in for one of those big nights. If you want to look at the home run, you're getting just over 3-1 to your money. And I do think that is how he ends up capitalizing on his RBI is by getting a home run and running himself in. So looking at that, it's Ohtani and the Dodgers to start the game, and then I'll be coming back in on the Dodgers if they somehow go down in this game, which I expect, Kevin.
Yeah, Ohtani has just continuously been so great. I will say I'm a little thrown off by the spot tonight because Cole Irvin has been good against lefties. Look, this Dodgers lineup can certainly take advantage of anybody, right? But you have Ohtani there at the top, and if by chance he struggles, could it just ripple effect a little bit just for the matchup, but just where the price is? I just think the number's a little high tonight on the LA Dodgers. Maybe that's my Baltimore Orioles respect bleeding through a little. Joe, what about the Rays and the Mariners here? This is where the slate's going to close out tonight. It's actually the Dodgers that'll close it out, but this is 9:40 as well. Mariners, Rays, what do you like in this one?
Okay, so looking at last night's game, Kevin, we saw the Seattle Mariners get a 5-1 win over the Tampa Bay Rays, keeping us under that total of 6.5. Tonight, we have a total of 6.5 again, and I do think with the pitching matchup, we're going to go over that game tonight. I'm going to take it over. We got Springs coming out here for the Rays and Logan Gilbert coming out for the Seattle Mariners. Now, Logan Gilbert has had his struggles. The Seattle Mariners have lost, I believe, 7 of his last 9 starts, and I don't trust him to really keep the Tampa Bay Rays lineup in check. I'm expecting those runs, and when we look at this, Logan Gilbert should be playing better, and I know the Seattle Mariners have had their games where they've struggled to be able to get those runs on the board, but I think they'll hit Springs here. He's got a 4.50 ERA, and the Mariners proved last night that with all the changes, we're seeing more runs come out of them. They put 5 runs on the board last night. I am kind of leaning to the Rays to be able to get the win. I love the plus money we're getting on them. I think this is a 4-3 style game, just pushing us over 6.5, as well as giving us the Tampa Bay Rays with that plus money. So it'll be the Tampa Bay Rays and the over 6.5. And I do think probably the nerfy in this one. I think those runs start, but they start later in this game, just like we saw last night, Kevin.
Yeah, this Jeffrey Springs start tonight for me provides a little bit of an opportunity to fade. I have Julio Rodriguez over the 1.5 hit run RBI in this matchup at -125. We mentioned a little bit earlier on in the week, Joe, the Mariners are going to have to start stacking these wins. They have been able to win 2 in a row. They're home against Tampa. This is a team, we talk about it, not really in contention. And then go to L.A. to play the Angels. Then they go to Oakland for 4. Listen, I know it's the road. Who cares? Those are bad baseball teams. The Mariners have an opportunity to get hot right before we get into that final closing stretch of baseball. If they can take advantage, certainly time will tell. Joe, appreciate it, though. As always, best of luck here on a big-time Tuesday night slate of baseball action.
Yeah, best of luck to everyone out there. And Kevin, if the Houston Astros haven't scored, I'm live betting them right now on that money line because I think they get the win tonight over the Phillies, and they still haven't scored. +132.
All right, Joe, looking for some Astros live action. You got to ask yourself, though, I mean, who's looking for some Yankees live action, trailing the Washington Nationals? I mean, this just cannot continue. Would be nice to see Juan Soto get on base. Let's get runners in scoring position. Maybe Aaron Judge help us out. Come on out. We'll be right back.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fights. It was a big night of memorable moments.
Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Good left hand from Rockhold. Right hand right back from Mike Perry. Now 3-0 in BKFC.
Could I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Perry on the target for the left hand. Right hand from Mike Perry. Double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining on number 1.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
We're live on Game Time Decisions. It is a Tuesday night. And when we are back here on Thursday, we will be officially into Week 1 college football. 6 o'clock, Rutgers-Howard. Now, I will not have a pick in that. I cannot bet it here in Jersey. I am not going out of my way to get involved with that. I'm not going to drive back home. I don't care. It is nonsensical. I cannot bet on Rutgers football. And then when it comes time, Rutgers basketball. Because I'm here in New Jersey. People in Philadelphia and New York can. So we won't be involved there. But then at 7 o'clock, we have ranked teams playing. NC State, against Western Carolina. All right, maybe that doesn't get your blood flowing. I get it. Missouri's playing Murray State. I believe Murray State should let John Morant play in that game. Haven't seen John Morant play in some time. Be nice to see. Kansas against Lindenwood. That game is at an MLS stadium. There are some college football notes, I guess, as I try and, sharpen up the futures. We only have so much time that I never get to, and I just kind of served as a reminder. Kansas is a team that I understand why people want to be in on them. Jalen Daniels back. Last year, preseason Big 12 Player of the Year, injury stopped him from being able to really play for this team. I cannot buy in on Kansas with the way their season has laid out, with them basically having no, for me, real home games. They're going to play Lindenwood and UNLV at the MLS Stadium, where the Kansas City team plays. And then their remaining home games will be played at Arrowhead. Now, yes, it is closer in proximity, Arrowhead, to Kansas than it is for Colorado. But you are going to get, I think, an uptick in travel now that you are playing at an NFL stadium. And I think you're going to end up getting a little bit of extra juice from your road opponents that these kids are in NFL stadiums. Like Shedeur Sanders walking in to Patrick Mahomes' building. Sue me if it's too narrative-y for you, but I'm probably going to be looking to sizzle. If Shedeur Sanders is still playing at that point in the schedule. Maybe I'll get there in a second. But for Houston, Iowa State, TCU, these teams are going to travel in a big way to these stadiums. And if you're Kansas and you go through this schedule, and look, the road stuff lined up, right? Yes, they're at Kansas State, but beyond that, Baylor and Arizona, Arizona State, BYU, there are some spots for this team to get right. But that win total, 8.5, I can't get there. It wasn't too overblown that they were clear and obvious unders, but this is just such an immediate stay away team for me. And it's a team that, and everyone's kind of different in their process, but when I was going through, my preseason research and figuring out who I liked in the Big 12, right, and I bet Oklahoma State and Arizona to make the college football playoff. I bet over 1.5 Big 12 teams to make the college football playoff. I think Utah's actually going to get in. They were in my projected bracket. But you also get other notes that you'll kind of take with you into the season, and fading Kansas at home is one of those things. Now, does it apply to Lindenwood? I don't know about that, right? But when this team takes the field at Arrowhead, I don't see that as a positive. I mentioned Shedeur Sanders in that second-to-last game of what would expected to be his college career, I guess, unless Colorado ends up making the CFP. What if he's not playing? The Deion and Colorado, they're such an interesting case study. And firstly, their schedule is very, very difficult. They ended up getting all of the ranked teams out of the Big 12 somehow. Kansas State, Arizona, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State are all on the schedule, which is just nuts, right? Where's the BYU game? Where's the Arizona State game? Where's the Houston game? Where's the Cincinnati game? None of it. And by the way, the other remaining Big 12 big game that they have to play, I know they play Cincinnati, but they have to play UCF, who a lot of people think can win this league. Their non-con is North Dakota State, who's always been great. Nebraska on the road, which is going to be tough. There'll be a dog probably. And then at Colorado State, who gave them all they could handle. All I'm saying is if this team is sat there, 2 wins, I don't know if Shedeur Sanders shows up to Arrowhead. Dave Sharapan in here next.
What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah, folks. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Harry on the target for the left-hander. Right hand from my very double champion. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Back right here on SportsGrid. Got updates on your baseball board. What do we have here right now? I mean, no juice. Red Sox put one up. Who contributed there? Darren. Another home run. He's having a heck of a season. Red Sox are weird. You know, we've talked about, or at least I have, one of those apps, they put it all together teams. And if memory serves, they started very slow this year, and maybe that just put them behind the eight ball. No, that's not really true. I mean, they were 500, 29 and 29, 30 and 31. I guess that's slow. They were 53 and 43 at one point. So maybe it was more trip up in the second half. Came out of the break, you get swept by the Dodgers. Lose 20-7 at Coors Field. You lose to the incredible New York Yankees at Fenway Park. But it's one of these teams, it feels like their ceiling is so high. But the results aren't really there. And again, like, they get swept by Arizona, they lose another to Toronto. Like, they've been abysmal at Fenway. And that's gonna kind of be what bites them, right? I mean, they're 29 and 37 at home, they're 38 and 27 on the road. How many teams right now in wild card races are under 500 at home? Let's say the Red Sox are 5 back. So let's say you needed to be 5 back or better. The amount of teams that are under 500 at home are the Red Sox, and that's the list. So when you try and figure out what went wrong, there you go. Don't lose all your home games. Now, I'll be honest with you, because the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry still is real. Love to see that costing them. Love to see that. And Sid, great to have you in. Maybe you could pass a message along, Matt Peralt, let him know. Sorry that the Boston fans aren't giving the Red Sox enough of a boost this year. Seems to be an issue.
It is. I think they're done, K-Dub. I don't think, 5 games is lurking, but there's only 30 games left. Yeah. So it's going to be hard to jump that many teams. You got to do it with pitching. If you're going to do it, a lot of question marks. It's still, I mean, they pieced it together for a while, but can't win the home games, can't win. And tonight, good start, right? That's good. But I think the Red Sox are done.
Yeah, I don't. One of those things. I'm still kind of waiting for that bracket to be set.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm certainly not running to any Boston futures. Dave, we can circle back to baseball in a minute. I want to get some NFL stuff with you. I saw something today that was brand new. I'm going to imagine you didn't see it and you haven't seen it before. FanDuel was posting odds to be first-team All-Pro quarterback First team all AP, all pro left tackle,
Nice.
right tackle, linebacker.
Why?
You see the quarterback odds there. They were posting first team AP kicker.
Oh, God.
Have you ever seen this before? Any reaction when you see these markets? Trent
I've
Williams
seen
looking a
these.
big-time favorite.
Yeah, I've seen these before offshore. There's a little more leeway
Offshore.
a little more leeway to put this stuff up there. Keep the limits low. Get people talking about it in the content space. That's good. I don't know how much volume they'll do, but booking them ain't no fun. I can tell you that.
I got a
No
good follow-up for you.
Yeah.
Text came in at 8:30 that this market was available. Mike Blewett joined us at 6:30, and Mike's like, "Hey, where can I find the market?" So as we told Mike, we all then joined the scramble, and it is gone. Now I can't tell you when it was down, but in that 10-hour window, it was gone. So I don't want to make any assumptions. I'm going to let you tell it. What do you think happened in those 10 hours?
Close it. Somebody set off an alarm and said, "Who put those up? Who's responsible for those numbers?
Yeah.
Shut them off. We're not taking them right now. That's it. Something happened. They didn't just go up and then come down on the same day because nobody bet them, I'm going to guess. We used to say if you put the numbers up and you paint them up there and, nothing happens, I'd rather put up numbers and take bets and move numbers and then, we got action. The worst is when you paint the fence and the paint dries, nobody moves. And you just sit there and you sit in a room and you're like, does anybody know we put these up? Like, what's going on? Why is nobody betting this stuff? Like, we put out an alert, we sent out an email, all this stuff. So I'm going to guess it wasn't that. I'm going to guess that there were some things that were put up and somebody's questioning who put this up. When did you put it up? Why did you put it up today? This will probably come back up maybe for the weekend if it comes back up. Okay. There's obviously got to be some tweaking to be done. Putting up these markets, K-Dub, with no NFL games this week, probably not the best idea. Probably with some, moves being made, injury information, all of a sudden Odell Beckham's going to be on the PUP list, all this other thing. Like, you don't just throw this stuff up today.
My only thing is, right, I've been thinking about this obviously, and I've been excited. It's one of those things sometimes I'll see something like I should shoot David text, and I'm like, we'll get to it on air. I don't want to spoil it, right? So maybe, right, they posted Penny Sewell minus 150 to be the right tackle, right? Maybe I was late when I saw that. Maybe he opened 120. Maybe it closed 350. And somebody in the room right now is like, do you understand how dumb you are for asking me to give you permission to post a right tackle AP All-Pro mark? Maybe, right?
Right.
There is a part of me, though, and you kind of hit on this. This isn't something we see from a FanDuel Sportsbook.
No.
This is something you see from a doesn't exist, we don't acknowledge kind of situation.
Yep.
Where, like, did somebody just get a little overanxious? Like, look, man, I put the work in. I'm pressing click, and I'm putting it up. I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Because I don't know, Dave, if there's, like, a level of rules, I guess, that allows you to post MVP but doesn't allow you to post AP markets. I don't know.
Well, in illegal markets, yes, there's certain states you can do this. There's other states you can't. And if you put it up and hit open, and it opens in all the states, they can face 7-figure fines for putting up markets that aren't supposed to be up. And take one bet on it for $5 could cost them $1 million in fines. Now, the other little secret thing that could probably be going on is that, I started a long time ago in the late 90s down in Curacao. And I'm not saying this definitely happens, but I'm saying allegedly it could happen. They put up numbers hoping that some place copies it without really doing the work and said, hey, they put up prices on this stuff. Let's get these prices down. We'll tweak them a little bit. We'll put them up. And they didn't do the work. And there may be a couple mispriced items. If you can get a bushel of bananas at the grocery store that's marked for the price of one banana, there's people that would just take it and bring it at the register and get in the car and go home. I'm not saying that happened here today, but I've seen it happen, K-Dub, where books get very ambitious and say, let's put this market up. They got it up down there. We'll put it up and we'll take bets on it, and it's not right. So
I got to tell
maybe
you,
the case.
and I'm so glad that we talked about this a little bit. I find because sometimes we talk about market discrepancy here on the show, and I really hope that maybe, and I don't know if this is a thing, right? But like if they're like, look, we know the tendencies. When we post a minus money favorite, they come in a little lighter. All right. So, cause the Penny Sewell one really stood out to me. So we're gonna do minus 180. They're gonna throw that thing up at minus 115.
Ooh.
And guess what? Nobody's gonna be hanging it anymore.
No.
But we had our fun because I want to know if anybody out there, by the way, bet that market and your bet is still active. Just let me know. Let me know. Let Dave know. Let the people know. We'll be right back.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fights. It was a big night of memorable moments.
Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Good left hand from Rockhold. Right hand right back from Mike Perry.
Could I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah, folks. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Perry on the target for the left hand. Right hand from Mike Perry. Double jab and right hand. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Right here on SportsGrid, and since we're talking wild things, the Nats are up 3-0 on the Yankees. Here's the reality. The 3 for the Nationals, good for them. Threw in the back, unsurprisingly, hitting home run bats. That's great. If the Yankees go another inning score. If the Yankees go the first 5 scores against Patrick Corbin.
Uh-oh.
We got questions. Dave, I got another question for you.
Hit me.
You ever book a mythical matchup? You ever get involved in a mythical matchup?
I've been a big part of articles and content and stuff where they come up with, like our dream team discussion this year versus 92. What would you make the line and things like that, different eras, mythical matchups. But you're on to something here that's a little bit different than that, Kato.
Yeah, this is a FanDuel tab, which is largely pitting rivals against one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it is so NC State, North Carolina is the first one on Thursday. NC State is laying 21.5.
Yes,
North
sir.
Carolina.
Yep.
And it is NC State's final points against North Carolina's final points. We are also getting money lines, and we are also getting totals.
Yes.
Now, I see this, and it's like, all right, that's cool.
Right.
I don't know if I will bet this at all. We'll
Right.
see. Maybe something happens where I'm like, no, this is the way to attack it. Maybe. I don't know, though. It seems like it's going to be odd to get there. The one thing I guess, Dave, and where we were just talking all pro, and it's like, there's probably a lot of work that goes in. This really shouldn't be all that hard because the numbers are already made. You're just taking team totals and putting them up, right? This can't be anything more than that.
Minimal. That's it. We actually talked about that today on Bostonian versus the book. And we got a little loose talking about it because I can't figure out why you would want to make a market on something that isn't real, other than what was very successful, at least when we were doing it, was creating markets that would then be very popular in local markets. So the Iowa State one is the one that came up. They play next week head to head, but there's people in Iowa, and again, I'm not besmirching the great state of Iowa or anyone that's a fan of either the Hawkeyes or the Cyclones. Not at all. But they would like to pit against each other every week, and this is a way to do that. This will be up. If there is any sort of market volume at all on this, they will continue to put this up. This may be as short-lived as the all-pro markets. You may not see this again next week. If there ain't no bets on this, they're not going to keep putting this up. You're right. You kind of come up with it with the team totals. You look at the totals for the games, kind of make a number in the middle probably, or team total, add them up. That's what you're going to get, somewhere close to that. This one isn't as hard to make. I'm trying to figure out who is this market for, K-Dub? I mean, this is for the real ultimate college football fan that is looking at their team's game this week going, man, they're playing some FCS school. I don't want to bet on this. I'm gonna go in here and dive in this market, right?
That's a good point. Maybe they're like, look, everyone wants to bet college football, but these games are tragic. So instead of now Utah playing, Southern Utah, we've got Utah playing Colorado.
Right.
But there's three thought processes that I could really see going into a bet here, right? The rivalry angle works, and a UNC fan goes 21.5. I get to root for my team, root against NC State. This is brilliant. The classic old school K-Dub bet, which I can tell you right now. Come on now, where are we going? Over 97.5 Texas, Oklahoma. I mean, if that's not news, I don't know what is.
That's on the BVB. I said Walsh will have this over for sure. Red River shootout every week. Huh. They're not even in the Big 12 anymore, but we'll put them together. That's a great idea. Yeah.
It's no capping. It's one of the joys of college football is betting a number that feels insane, right?
Right.
Last week we had a plus 40 on Island, and we had to do a lot of legwork to find the game. That's brilliant. That's college football, baby.
That is. Yes.
The third approach, and the one that if it ends up working out is going to get this market taken away, is betting the dogs. Because, and I don't mean betting plus 21.5. The spreads and totals make sense because we're pulling money lines, because we're pulling team totals. But realistically, these money lines, and I've kind of been cross-referencing them, are treating these like these are real games. These aren't real games.
Correct.
There is nothing NC State can do to slow down North Carolina if Minnesota no-shows the game. There's nothing that you can do to tell NC State to wake up if they don't show up against Western Carolina. And getting burned on a plus 840 ticket, even though NC State's going to beat Western Carolina and North Carolina's playing Minnesota, is how all of a sudden we go, oh, yeah, guess what? The all-pro market just got some company. Here's mythical matchups. You both go sit in the closet. We don't book these anymore.
Yeah. it might happen. That's a very good point too. There's no defense being played in this, so very hard to say I like this side more than that side, but I can like the dog, take a shot, put together one money line with a spread, and put those things together at those big prices, and it's going to exponentially multiply.
Washington's plus 340 against Oregon, right? We're not asking if Washington's offense is better than Oregon. Washington has a point to prove and is playing Weber State. Oregon has nothing to prove because they're title or bust and they're playing Idaho. So maybe Oregon takes their foot off the gas and Washington tries to put up 70. And we just got burned, plus 340. Michigan's playing Fresno. I understand they're a lot better than Akron, who Ohio State's playing. But Ohio State might be like, I don't know, we're good here. And Michigan losing Harbaugh, Sharon Moore might want to say, we're not good.
Run
here.
it up.
Keep going. And we just got burned plus 750 for no reason. We'll be right back. Sig, close it out.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fights. It was a big night of memorable moments.
Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Good left hand from Rockhold. Right hand right back from Mike Perry.
Could I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Perry on the target for the left hand. Right hand from Mike Perry. Double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big ladies. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, let's get out of here. We got the consig in the mix, though. He's got in-game live coming up next. Where are you focusing tonight? Where are you locked in on tonight?
I got a whole bunch of stuff, but every day that the Pirates lose is another day closer to football season in Pittsburgh, and we're on the Cubs and watching that, and they just opened it up against the Pirates, so we'll keep an eye on that. Padres, again, till further notice, but I went with the Atlanta stuff today. Do you like this Atlanta throwback with this, that's pretty nice. Braves won 10 of 14 because of the starting pitching. I got this straight from my buddies over at MLB Network. The starters have allowed 3 earned runs or fewer in each of their last 15 games. Braves and under. The under, though, for sure.
The Twins.
Are you?
On the Twins. I'm on the Twins.
All right.
I like the number.
That's fine.
Usually every Minnesota number looks too heavy, so I was fine to play the Minnesota number. We have a couple player props as well. I am on Cease tonight. We'll see if that works out.
Yep.
Jonah Bride, if you'd like, is your RBI who prop tonight, which I actually haven't seen DRS on as well, which was nice to see. Let me give you a question that I know we could handle Thursday, but since people are buzzing for football, on Thursday night we have 4 ranked teams playing.
Yes.
And Colorado. More handle, all 4 ranked teams combined, or that Colorado game.
I just cannot understand the Colorado stuff. It's unbelievable. Really? They love them. I mean, it's
you're surprised
when you talk to the guys. No, it's the most bet on game of the week so far. There's some monster games on Saturday, and my buddies
than the Saturday stuff.
It's incredible so far. Yeah, because the most money is bet on a game, especially during football season. 24 hours to 48 hours max before the game.
Yeah.
So they haven't bet the Saturday games in full yet. But this Colorado thing is nonstop. They just keep coming. Every guy that I got that works in a book, all these people that are on social media are reporting that it has the game with the most handle, most tickets, blah, 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 blah. Season wins is 4.5 or 5. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I get it from they haven't played yet. And the one thing I will say with Colorado is if they did end up winning 8 or 9 games, it wouldn't be insane because they have the kid that might go first overall. You know what I mean? Very rarely do you have the projected first overall pick. He's in the mix, Shador. We don't know if he's exactly going to go 1.
Okay.
And the team is terrible, right? Like, remember last year everyone said USC was terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they still won 7-5, I think, in the regular season. Just to
7,
give an idea.
I think so, yeah.
So, here's the thing that I wonder. And then we'll let Dave get out of here and everyone. But just, if Shador leaves, which I imagine he will at the end of this season, what is Deion's plan?
Okay, Dub, see if he can come on the show. Me and you will ask him both. We won't ask him no hard questions because then he'll ban us. So I don't want to ask him no hard questions.
I don't think he'll like that question. I don't think the question
what is
I
the
just
plan
asked.
afterward? That's a fair question. That's a fair question.
The thing is, though, let me just say, Dave, you can get out of here. Look, always a pleasure, man.
I got to ask you, though, for the Nashville kid, Mets or Diamondbacks tonight? I mean, that's a big one. That's a
Ready
big
for
one.
This answer?
Hit me.
Mets tomorrow. Mets
D-backs today, Mets tomorrow. Okay.
All right. We're fading into Eduardo Rodriguez. But as Dave gets out of here, just with the Colorado thing, and just because this is all the 2 most famous players in college football are arguably on the Colorado Buffaloes. That does matter. And I just wonder, next year when that portal pops, can Deion grab the best kid? Can Deion being Deion lock him into top 5 quarterback play on a yearly basis? I don't know. We'll find out, right? And that's a ways away. But this year of Deion and Shador is very likely your last. And I'll say some of the same stuff that I said about LeBron and Bronny. I know people don't love Deion. Man, is it cool. I mean, at the power level, father-son duo getting the job done. We'll be back to break down their opening game Thursday night right